Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Tomorrow is the 60th anniversary of our loss of JFK 60 years ago on November 22nd, 1963. I'm a little bit saddened we didn't get the day off. I would have so much loved to travel to Dallas, to go to the exact spot where it had happened 60 years ago. I don't know why. I love it when I go back somewhere on the anniversary. And just to see what it was like during that time of year at least, to get a sense of the atmosphere surrounding an event, right? I did that for Ronald Reagan. He was at a hotel when he was shot, and just to get a sense of where everybody was, what the kind of environment it was at. I visited. I used to be a big fan of the Unabomber, and I visited a few of his bombing sites in. I think it was UC Davis when I drove there, and also there one of the computer store, a former computer store in Salt Lake City, Utah. I believe that place has been converted to a vape shop, if I remember correctly. I went there in 2018, and oh well, I'll get another chance at some point. I don't know why. I love going to these crime scenes, especially if I can go on the anniversary itself and get a sense of the mood and in the time of year. But even not on the anniversary, it's great to visit them. And so I hope to get a mental health day of some sort. But I really love my students. I can't really do that to them. I gotta point out something though. So this week is the week of Thanksgiving, and schedule has been a little bit looser, right? I haven't been needing to see my students with as much frequency. And it's not that I dislike, I really love every interaction with every student that I've had. I can't think of a time where, oh my God, I had an unproductive meeting with them, or I wanted to kill somebody, or I can't think of a meeting that went down like that in my mind. No, they're very good meetings. All of them. Even my boss got really upset at me a few weeks ago because I had allowed a number of students to walk all over me. One student was 2 weeks behind in taking a final exam, multiple homeworks behind, making excuses. I didn't realize they were just excuses at the time. She was claiming that she had all these all this unpredictability at her work. And then I remembered when I was working at a tutoring center a few months ago how we often got schedule changes at the last minute, so I could relate to that. And then she had a family member who had just gotten into a car accident, and thankfully her family member wasn't hurt but was traumatized about driving, and she had to drive them everywhere, and something to that effect. And I kind of let it slide until my boss got very upset. And one day she had logged into my course to look at something, and she said, "What are you doing here? You got all these students who haven't taken their final. They're this much behind. You need to withdraw them like yesterday." And with a heavy heart, I withdrew them. And then I confessed to my boss, saying that sometimes, thanks for waking me up about this. Sometimes, I'm 36 years old and I'm single. I've never. I don't have children. I've never really had a love life. So sometimes I can find myself almost treating these people as like extensions of family, right? And she understood it, actually. She was 44 years old when she got married, and so she could totally understand that. So that was good. I knew her enough to know that I could explain this to her. I wouldn't do this to a random boss that I had just met yesterday, probably. But, what was I going to talk about here? Oh, the Thanksgiving break. So I had a very loose day yesterday and today, and I found that the biggest benefit was that things weren't rushed. I could actually sit down and enjoy a meal. One of the big problems that I have to deal with when we go back to work after Thanksgiving, I think the next month's going to be pretty loose anyhow, but come January, I have a bad habit of snacking during the day, not necessarily on unhealthy stuff, but I've been relying a lot on baking chocolate, on bananas, and not that there are any problems with that. It's just that I get home and I don't have an appetite for any good stuff anymore. And no, my eating is not unhealthy. Probably, I eat a lot of Brazil nuts and what else? You get the idea. There's nothing unhealthy about it, but I haven't enjoyed a hot cooked meal for a long time because I don't have an appetite for it after doing that. And I think it's just sad. You know, it's not like I want to skip out on the students just so I can eat. No. It's in an ideal world, right? If we could just I don't know, if we could cook in the office, right, and it had to be more socially acceptable to eat in the classroom, right, that would have been fine with me, right? Obviously, it's not terribly socially acceptable, right, and also everything just slows down, right? You don't have to drive like a maniac on the road when you have these slower days. You don't have to think like a maniac, jump from one task to another, and it just makes me wonder how can we slow life down even during the busy times of the year. For starters, I think we should introduce a few extra holidays. I think that's in order. I joked about Taylor Swift's birthday. I think that's kind of silly. Not everybody's gonna like Taylor Swift, obviously, but I think JFK's anniversary, right? The anniversary of the assassination of JFK. I think that's a worthy one. Maybe Pearl Harbor Day. I think those two, I think most Americans can accept. I also joked about the anniversary of Mary Curie discovering polonium and radium. I don't think most Americans are going to relate to that. If we end up in an RTG society where our electronics are powered by RTGs, I think that might get a little bit more traction. The anniversary of the loss of Challenger in Columbia. I think we can lump that together into one holiday. And I don't know. Feel free to leave a comment. I think we need at least 20 to 30 more days off in a year. In an ideal world, we shouldn't fix those days because after all, you need a mental health day when you need it, right? If JFK's anniversary comes around and you feel like working, I don't see a problem. If Thanksgiving Day comes around and you still feel like working, I don't see why you shouldn't, right? You should take a mental health day when it makes sense for you to do it, right? For example, 3 weeks ago, I really needed a day off and I didn't have it. Now that it's Thanksgiving and I really don't need a day off from. I'm glad I got it, but I don't need a day off from the office. What I need a day off from is the drive. I had 3 near-miss car accidents. I can totally relate now to my student who had a friend who was traumatized by driving. She had to drive her around, something like that. I don't know what it's. I really regret moving here. Not only the wacky driving, but also the condition of our roads. I've blown 6 tires on my car in a little bit over a year. I really didn't think about that when I moved. I really love the weather here. I was shopping around on different, was kind of job hunting earlier this week after my second near-miss car accident in a week. And I thought about Salt Lake City. I actually did contact some job openings there, but then I looked at the weather and I also thought about Wallace, Idaho, but don't like the weather there, and also not the worst thing in the world, but the food there, right? It's Wallace. You could almost consider a food desert. For me, it's not a big problem because I'm going to be spending some time in Kellogg and Coeur d'Alene anyway when I get there, right? Most of my activities and meetups are outside of Wallace anyway. And the nice thing about Wallace is that the people there are very accepting of divergences in lifestyle, right? You eat differently, you love differently. People are very open to that over there. So I thought about Wallace. But the weather is. I need Phoenix kind of weather in Wallace kind of environment, right? or maybe I could live in Wallace, and when the weather gets too brutal, take a vacation here in Phoenix, right? That could be one solution to that as well, right? All right, thought I would point out my new thoughts on these mental health days. I don't dislike work at all. People thought I was trying to get away from work. No, absolutely not. What I dislike is that, again, I'm snacking all throughout the day and having no time for a good meal at the end of the day. Not that I'm eating unhealthy. It's just that it's really unhealthy for my mood that I can't even enjoy a hot meal at the end of the day, and all the aggressive driving on the road, the car troubles on the road. That's what I need a break from, right?